Tonight, local leaders call on Nearstar for answers about the future direction of Port Pirie's lead smelter. And a fast-moving grass fire burns through farmland on the Yorke Peninsula.
This is Southern Cross News with Abby Donaldson.
Good evening, hope you all had a great weekend. Local leaders are uniting to call on Nearstar to better inform the community about the future direction of Port Pirie's lead smelter. It follows the Nearstar's CEO visit to Adelaide to address the company's struggling economical performance.
There has been plenty of speculation about the future of Nearstar and what it means for Port Pirie's plant. And with the arrival of its CEO, Hilma Road, in Adelaide, it's hoped some questions will finally be answered.
What we need to do is get a clear clarity on the time frame, and also for Nearstar to have give the local community regular updates of where they are.
State MP Jeff Brock and Port Pirie Council are unanimously calling for better transparency between the Belgian metal giant and the general public.
And on a regular basis, we need some timelines always coming back to us to keep our community informed.
Port Pirie Mayor Leon Stevens is concerned about Nearstar's recent announcement of 120 job cuts so close to Christmas.
I get terribly worried with the timing of this, and I feel for all the children that may not get a push bike under their Christmas tree.
Both Leon and Jeff are eager to instill some confidence back into the local community and are hoping this week's talks will help develop a better understanding. Hilma Road met with State Treasurer Rob Lucas this afternoon and will hold talks of the Australian Workers' Union on Wednesday. Dominic Beaton, Southern Cross News.
A fast-moving grass fire on the Yorke Peninsula burnt through farmland, with CFS units from across the mid-north responding to the blaze today. The bushfire, burning under extreme weather conditions, threatened properties and homes along the Spencer Highway and Balgowan Road just north of Maitland.
We've had a fast-moving grass fire that's taken place this morning, and we've had a number of appliances attend, and fortunately they were able to contain that fire before it reached the town of Maitland.
More than 100 firefighters, including aerial water bombers, managed to contain the blaze before it reached the township. A man and a woman have been taken to hospital after their plane crashed 80 kilometres east of Brogan Hill this morning. Police say the pair were in the air mustering livestock when the aircraft crashed near the regional town of Menindee at around 8:30. The RFDS emergency retrieval team was dispatched from Brogan Hill to help at the scene of the accident. The man and woman are in a serious but stable condition, and investigators are trying to determine the cause of the crash. The family of missing man Scott Redman are outraged that the man who was last seen with him has disappeared. Damien Kennedy has been missing since October 18. He was with Mr Redman on April 21 when their car was pursued by police near Kimber. He'd been on bail since August over drug charges and had previously breached his conditions. Scott's father, Steve Redman, told News Corp Mr Kennedy should have been locked up after his first breach. Well, total fire bans were put in place across South Australia today as the state swelters through hazardous fire conditions. While a cool change is on the way, the CFS is reminding everyone to remain vigilant.
Heat and wind, it's the perfect storm for a catastrophic day. Sweltering temperatures forced the CFS to enact the first total fire bans across part of the state today.
It's the first of probably many this year, the way the Bureau is forecasting the summer to go, so yes, beware, we probably have a few more than we have in the past.
Crews were required to act quickly across the weekend, with calls to various farm fires.
We have a header fire at Yallenda Flat on Friday afternoon into the evening, burnt about 7 hectares of partly crop, partly scrub. There also was a haystack fire up at or near Gum Flat, but crews took care of that on Saturday as well.
Leaving a fierce warning to our region's farmers. With harvest now in full swing across the pastoral districts, they're being urged to think twice before stepping into the header.
And work out whether you still can keep reaping or you need to pull up voluntarily before you do cause some issues.
Some good news is on the way though, with a cool change expected for the rest of the week.
Hit early this afternoon and stay like that for the next few days, and by the look of it, it'll probably ramp up again towards the weekend.
Casey Treloar, Southern Cross News.
Primary Industry Minister Tim Whetstone toured the EP's dry season affected areas. He met with locals at Cowell and Arno Bay on Saturday. Mr Whetstone also announced a third family and business support mentor role for the region. The FAB program employs well-respected community members who are tasked with identifying those who need support during tough times.
And that really is good news, sitting alongside the regional business support team, giving our farmers the help and information that they need.
Kimber's Steve Willis has been appointed to the mentor role, which will cover the northern part of the EP. Meantime, as hotter weather fast approaches, lakes can be a nice place to fish, relax and enjoy an afternoon. But despite having plenty of water in it, Brogan Hill's Imperial Lake will spend another summer closed off from the public.
A once popular hotspot for Brogan Hill, now driven past with barely any recognition. For decades, the Imperial Lake was an oasis in the outback, a beautiful area for swimmers, fishermen and basically all locals. Since its closure in the 1980s, parts of the lake have been bone dry, creating a graveyard of dead fish. Recent rainfall has filled one section though, with many locals thinking it's a majorly untapped resource.
For heaps of different reasons, for tourists that want to come here and stay by water, to create a facility, a function facility that might be the backdrop to weddings. There are so many opportunities that the Imperial Lakes can be a wonderful asset for Brogan Hill for the next 50 to 100 years.
Imperial is currently being used as an emergency water supply for Brogan Hill. However, Essential Water says once the Murray River pipeline is installed, they will be looking at decommissioning the lake. Mr Nash hopes to lobby the state and federal governments for funding to finally get these gates open once and for all.
We just need to all work together. We need to have a really strong, positive voice to our politicians that we want this, and we're really prepared to roll up our sleeves and do some working bees if that's what's required.
Patrick Ryankey, Southern Cross News.
Still to come tonight, the Ride for Sick Kids journey passes through Port Lincoln to raise much needed funds for the Ronald McDonald House charities. Welcome back. Wailord Council Chambers was the venue of the latest simulation of Army exercise Binbar. It hosted the signing of the constitution of a fictional country, with local residents also helping out.
A scene so familiar from TV news was acted out on the streets of Wailord today. Exercise Binbar came to the City Plaza as Army cadets practiced their peacekeeping skills with a little help from locals.
Had a bit of a split there between legitimate civilians who we've just pulled in off the street and from the workspaces around town, mixed in with some of our role players.
The scenario involved the signing of a new constitution for the fictional country of Allegra, attended by a senior Australian Army commander. Soldiers were in charge of preventing a riot outside the signing. It then escalated, with a group of radicals charging at the soldiers.
Put that weapon on the ground! Put the weapon on the ground!
It's great to see the cadets when they expect the role players to be there, and then they see legitimate civilians as well, and to see their reactions and how they cope with that.
Wailord Council staff, including Mayor-elect Claire McLaughlin, lent their bodies to the cause. CEO Chris Cayley says it was an eye-opening experience.
It's pleasing to see from an Australian's perspective that that's our military leaders of the future, getting an opportunity to be trained.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
A 21-year-old man in Port Pirie West has been caught drink driving, allegedly blowing .116, that's 2 times over the legal limit. He was issued a 6-month immediate loss of licence notice and had his car impounded for 28 days. Meantime, in Whyalla, a 41-year-old Craffers West allegedly returned a positive reading of .068. He was issued with an expiation notice for $673 and 4 demerit points. Brogan Hill police have been forced to use pepper spray on 2 teenage boys after they allegedly assaulted officers at a house party. The incident occurred just before midnight on Saturday after the officers broke up the party at a home in Jamison Street. It's alleged the 2 17-year-old boys pushed and tried to punch police whilst leaving the area. It was also reported that other partygoers threw bottles at police during the scuffle. A number of teenagers have been given warnings under the Young Offenders Act, and investigations continue. The state opposition says regional aviation could be grounded if new security regulations pass federal parliament. Eddie Hughes says the state government should pressure their Canberra counterparts to ensure regional airports aren't burdened with the cost.
Southern Cross News reported last month about proposed changes to security at regional airports were threatening to have an impact on Wailord and Port Lincoln. Scanners and security guards are set to be installed, with the cost as high as $80 per passenger. The state opposition has joined the chorus of concern.
Has the potential to threaten the viability of some of the airlines that do service our major regional airports.
Mr Hughes wants State Regions Minister Tim Whetstone to pressure Canberra into funding those costs. He says local councils, ratepayers and the airlines need to be protected from this turbulence.
There should be heavy lobbying of the federal government to ensure that regional South Australian airports are not negatively impacted.
Mr Hughes says while security is critically important, passengers and ratepayers shouldn't have their wings clipped as a result.
These are essential services, so the state government should be strongly standing up for regional communities.
The state government declined to comment today. John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
The best of Brogan Hill and surrounding businesses have been recognised at the Far West Business Awards night. Lawrence Engineering took out the evening's major accolade, the Outback Spirit Award.
Best in the Far West.
They're here tonight to view and to accolade a number of winners for the excellence in their businesses.
In total, 16 awards were handed out across the night, ranging from Best Small Business to Service with a Smile. Anthony Vella was named the city's favourite tradie, while Apprentice of the Year was a tie between Jared Nichols and Daniel Watmore. Popular Business was Addie Merrill's Cafe, Best New Business Good Price Pharmacy, and Pandora's Palette was Best in Hospitality. Hannah Molsty won the School-Based Trainee Award, and Lucy Gross won Trainee of the Year.
Making it this far was already I was happy and proud of myself, but when I got it I was really shocked.
It was a good night for Lawrence Engineering, who took home the overall winner, Outback Spirit Award.
Well, actually I had a mouthful of dessert when we were called up, so it was unexpected. Yeah, I was shocked. Yeah, great reward for the work we've put in, our people. I'm surrounded by really good people, and this is not just about me. It's about all of our people.
For a full list of winners, visit the Regional Development Far West website. Patrick Ryankey, Southern Cross News.
More works will still be needed to remove hundreds of submerged shopping trolleys from Port Augusta's wharf after the operation had to be suspended on Friday due to high-speed winds. The lengthy removal efforts were scheduled to finish late last week, although afternoon winds pose safety risks for the crane. The council says a high number of trolleys still remain in the water. The Ride for Sick Kids journey has taken to the road in a bid to raise much-needed funds for the Ronald McDonald House charities. 24 riders left Port Lincoln this morning for the gruelling 7-day cycle to Adelaide.
A team fundraising effort for families in need.
Really challenging at times, but with a lot of fun thrown in along the way.
For day 2 of the ride, the physical challenge set in today, with the riders tackling fierce headwinds.
We had about 25 k's out of Port Lincoln and yep, she swung around on us, so we've been pushing pretty hard.
But for Port Lincoln local Trent Adams, who used Ronald McDonald House when his daughter was diagnosed with cancer, it's been about the mental challenge.
Mentally, when you're on the road and things are hurting like they are today, you've just got to think of I think of my daughter. Excuse me.
Trent and fellow Port Lincoln rider Mark Forbes have had the honour of leading the pack in yellow in recognition of their fundraising efforts.
We'd raised sort of $61,000 and then Peter Teakle Saturday night has thrown in another $25,000.
The whole team aims to raise $250,000 and will complete the 1,000-kilometre journey in Adelaide on Saturday. Casey Treloar, Southern Cross News.
Stay with us after the break. We'll have all your local cricket results and in the weather. After a very hot day today, we're in for some cool relief and welcome showers this week. I'll have all the local weather details soon. Hello again. Now a look at the weekend's cricket results, where some of the best players from across the region battled it out in a representative carnival. Garth Burley is in Port Augusta, and Garth, there were some incredible bowling figures.
Yes, that's right, Abby. Port Augusta off-spinner Greg Shirley ripped through the Roxby downside, taking 7 for 16 and bowling the side out for just 83. In reply, the Roxby bowlers challenged the Port Augusta top order, taking a few early wickets. Although the total wasn't enough, the batsmen cruising to an 8-wicket win. In the other Day 1 match, the Whyalla top order were in good form against Port Pirie, easily chasing down 188. Moving to Day 2 matches, where Whyalla faced Port Augusta in the final. Batting first, Whyalla muscled their way to 210, after a score of 65 from Jared Dunbar. In response, Port Augusta struggled against the Whyalla attack, losing 4 early wickets, and despite a fighting 40 from Craig Shirley, fell 64 runs short, Whyalla taking out the title. In the playoff game, Port Pirie were too good for Roxby Downs. In Brogan Hill, a 50 to Norse opener Cody Howard helped his team post 132, before the bowlers restricted the West's batters to just 102. In the other match, South were too good for Central, winning the match by 43 runs. A quickfire 100 to South Air's Jacob Watson was the highlight in round 6 of Port Lincoln cricket, as his team sealed a convincing win against Todd River. Charlton only lost 3 wickets on their way to chasing down 108 against Lincoln South, and an incredible bowling spell of 4 for 18 from Jaded Jude gave Tasman the platform to cruise to an easy win against Waybacks. So some interesting results there. Back to you, Abby.
Thanks, Garth. And now it's time to take a look at what's happening in the weather. It was a very hot start to the working week today, and a mixed bag of weather for all centres. Port Augusta warming up to 39 degrees. Port Lincoln saw a top of 33 degrees. On the satellite, high jet stream cloud in the far north, west and south isn't producing any rain, and skies are clear elsewhere under a ridge of high pressure. Taking a look at the waters for your Tuesday, southwesterly winds up to 25 knots, seas at 2 metres, and sunrise will be at 6:05 on the dot. A cool change will sweep through tonight, bringing much milder temperatures and welcome showers for all centres. Port Augusta dropping down to a 22-degree maximum tomorrow, Whyalla and Port Lincoln a much cooler 21 the top. Taking a look at the rest of the week, even cooler temperatures for Wednesday and Thursday here. Port Lincoln could see a fair bit of wind about for the middle of the week. The odd shower hanging around too, but it will be mostly fine on Thursday and Friday. Cleve 22 the max to end the week. Again, scattered showers and cooler maximums over the coming days. Whyalla 21 tomorrow and Wednesday. Mostly fine conditions to end the week. Port Augusta warming up to 25 degrees by Friday. And just 16 the top for Clare on Wednesday. It's going to be a windy one too. Port Pirie will see the odd shower till Thursday. Mostly fine and 24 the max come Friday. And cooling down in Brogan Hill, sunny and 24 the top by Friday. And that's all the local news this Monday. Thanks for your company. Good night.